Oma is the most fabulous woman I know. She smokes a pack of cigarettes a day and eats bonbons like there's no tomorrow, but at the age of 87, she is still standing, and we are thrilled that she is. I wish with all my heart that I could have captured her on film, but she lives all the way across the Atlantic Ocean, and that makes that a little bit difficult. However, I've done my very best in piecing together her emails to create a documentation that is, I hope, truly reflective of her story. So here is my Oma, Elizabeth Walstra.
Dear Lucia, I was born in Holland. When I was young, I had no idea of the other countries, but later at school, I learned there are more countries with a king or queen, or not, in that there are mountains and so on. So I was taking a lot of interest in it, and hoping for that I can go to the other countries when I was older. And so, open I did. About school, it was the school with the Bible, and also Bilderdijkschool was the name, because the street name was Bilderdijkstraat. So we started at 9, and the teacher was reading a story from the Bible about the Bible readings. That was not a problem because we started with it, so we only had to listen. And because it was the first lesson you could sleep with your eyes wide open. And then we started with the lessons. I don't know how to say this word.
What is it?
I don't know.
Oh, history, geography, and counting. And that was funny when we were counting. We have to repeat. Go ahead.
What?
That was funny. When we were counting, we have to repeat. We had to repeat loud several times with the whole class. So let's say 1 + 1 = 2. 30 + 30 = 60. It was a nice school. Go ahead. You can read this. What I loved.
Okay. What I loved is at Christmas time, when we were singing all those Christmas songs and had candles and Christmas tree in class. That was really wow, and I tried to be sweet those days, so I felt a little bit holy. And what we got in the end was chocolate and sweet things. So you see, it was a nice time.
The other thing about Elizabeth is that she, when I came into the family, at first she was very skeptical of me because I was an American and I was kind of naive. And over the years, what's so funny is I was so excited about figuring out her culture and her language, and she was the first person who really made me comfortable trying to speak Dutch. So I actually really learned because of her. I learned to sit down and talk with her, and she learned English. Actually, what's interesting is her husband, my father-in-law, was a fancy insurance CEO of a big insurance company, and he had a lot of engagements in England and in France, and she learned French and English from record albums. Like, she would play it and learn to speak French and English. So when she spoke English with me, it was from a record album, what she had learned. And then slowly over the years, I learned to speak Dutch, and now that's how we manage things.
Well, my mother always loves to have everybody around, particularly family. She likes to have coffee, sit down, eat cake, and bonbons, not to mention alcoholic beverages sometimes. She loves everything to be orderly and neat. That means that as a kid I was never really allowed to play at home and invite friends over, which was kind of sad, but not really, because I love to play outside. Then she liked to travel, particularly with my father, and see the world. Love that part.
My favorite part about Oma is probably that when you walk into the house, she always has a plate of bonbons ready for you and a cup of tea. And you can always throw bread to the ducks in her backyard, and whenever you go to visit, she always has a little gift for you no matter what. And when I was a little girl, I remember I always thought that her tea had like some magic power going on because it was so yummy, and we could never have such yummy tea at home. It was just Oma's tea.
I like the ducks because I named one Rainbow, and I like having a hagelslag outside on the table.
Of course, I had a fight with my brother sometimes. Because of the war, he was sent to Germany to work for the Germans, and my parents were very sad about it, of course. My parents, I loved them very much. They were really good for us, and also sometimes angry, but they did not yell. And I had to help in the household to clean things because my mom had also a job for the whole day, and when she came home, she was also tired. When I was sitting and reading a book, then they would say, "Do you have nothing to do?" "I have work for you. Come on, Betty." My father, he was a handyman. He was not talking much. My mom was also singing with me, and we could laugh a lot together, and she was very hospitable. Mostly on Sunday evening, my parents, brother, and I were playing a game, and that is also what I never will forget. We had at the table a newspaper and peanuts we will have to peel. But in 44-45, there was a hunger in Holland, and that was not the best time in my life. But this is not another story.
This is another.
Yeah, the war was obviously World War II. We're talking about that was not a very good period in her life. She was living in Amsterdam, and in the beginning she was all right. She was still working for the municipality. But as time went on, life in Amsterdam just got harder, and she wasn't able to maintain her employment. Then she was about 17, I think, when the war started, so she was young. At some point, I'm sure they did not have enough food anymore. For heat, they burned the trees that were in the street, so there were no more trees in the street after a while. They were living pretty close to the Jewish quarter, and so she was involved. She saw a lot of the razzias that took place, where the Jewish people were actually taken from their homes and moved away. Her father himself was actually shipped off to France, and I think her brother went also to France to work in the factories for the Germans. And they were obviously, when they came after the war, they came back, fortunately, but never really mentioned what really happened there. It was obviously not very good. Towards the end of the war, they certainly didn't have enough to eat, and when they finally got the droppings at the Schiphol airport, they felt like normal bread, which was actually in hindsight not that great bread. They felt it was like cake, and they were very, very happy that the Germans were out of